we'll focus on oral communication today. And yesterday you have seen that we spend almost 80% of our waking time on communication, which involves interpersonal communication. My question to you all is, out of this 80% of the time, what do you think, how much time do you spend on each one of the 4 skills which are essential to be effective communicator? Let's first of all talk about what are those 4 skills which are required for being effective communicator. Yes? What are the basic skills in communication? No? बेसिक स्किल क्या चाहिए आपको? ओके, लिसनिंग, हियरिंग. जी, नो आंसर.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, please.
For communication, we require pronunciation, vocabulary.
Okay.
Modulation.
Okay, I think you are going into how the vocal or the speech can be improved upon and what are the essential components of a speech. My question was, what are the basic 4 skills which are needed to be effective communicator? What I am doing at present? What am I doing at present? Speaking.
Eye contact.
No.
Eye contact.
Speaking. Okay. If I'm speaking, what are you doing? Listening. Okay. So the 4 basic skills which are needed to be effective communicator, you will all agree, include speaking, listening, reading and writing. So the question is, the time you spend on communication, how much time you spend on each one of these skills? Any guesses? Let me put it in other way. Do we speak more or do we listen more? Speak more. Any answer from the audience? Good morning.
Ma'am, I think we read more. Besides, we speak less. Whatever we read about a particular topic, we are not able to 100% deliver that very particular content. And instead, we are just speaking 50% of the content.
Okay. Now, when we say we spend almost 80% of our time on communication, these 4 basic skills are involved, and the research which has been carried out in the field of communication clearly indicates that it is a myth that we speak more, it's a reality that we listen more. And out of the 80% of the time we spend, 45% of your time is accounted for listening, 30% to speaking, 16% for reading, 9% for writing. Now you can question me, maybe this is not true with every individual. Then what are the bases? Because this was a cross-sectional study including varied status in the population, but it all depends upon the job roles and responsibilities of a person. If a person is a PBX operator, most of the time the person is listening and speaking. A person, a software engineer, most of the time he or she is involved in reading and writing. Maybe a journalist is also involved in reading and writing. It also depends upon the technology you use. Say, I'm in the habit of using a mobile phone, but I send SMS messages. Then reading and writing will be more involved. But if I'm prone to the voice call, then I'm into speaking and listening. We all use computers and internet, and we are in the habit of sending emails. Even when we use email, it is reading and writing which is involved more rather than listening and speaking. Think of the case when you're using a Skype and you are having a video call. At that time also, you're more into speaking and listening. And if we take a case of the teacher, he or she is involved in all these four skills. Before going to the class, the preparation involves reading. And while you are reading, you may be preparing brief notes, preparing a small handout for your student. Maybe you are taking the main ideas of what you are reading. So you are at the time also involved in writing. When you enter the class, or maybe before the class only, when you prepare some set of questions to be posed to the students, again is writing. You are preparing a task sheet or exercises for your student or the assignment which you would like to give, you jot down writing. Okay, you prepare the media, even there also, if you are including a textual material, the writing comes into play. Then when you are in the class, most of the time it is listening and speaking, and you are also involved in writing on the board. And if the students have been given some task in the class, maybe you are involved in reading of that particular work which has been accomplished or completed by the student. So these four skills are important to be effective communicator. But I, in this particular session, only pick up two of these which come under the oral communication, speaking and listening. The first session of today's program will be on speaking. The second will be on listening. So coming to speaking, I have just taken up principles of effective speaking, and yesterday you have read this quote that you speak with vocal organs but communicate with the whole body. And we have also seen yesterday that verbal communication is only the tip of the iceberg. The remaining iceberg is non-verbal behavior of the teacher. And here, when we are speaking in terms of the classroom communication, you can see the three images here. The very first image shows that students are demotivated, they are asleep, and they are not paying attention to what is being taught to them. The second class, they are actively engaged and they are very happy with what is going on. The third image which you see, people are attentive. Now any teacher would wish to have a class where the student feels satisfied, where the student feel engaged, and they are actively listening and involved in activities, whatever topic is at hand. And for that matter, the teacher can improve the effectiveness of his communication by paying attention to both verbal and non-verbal component of speech. And when we broadly try to classify the communication styles, they can be broadly classified into four. One style of communication can be referred to as that of controller or director. Now when we say controller or director, this person communicates like a commander. Now the role of a commander is to get the work done by the other people. So he values the job done. He is a decisive risk taker, and the person delegates the work to others. And he's not shy, but he doesn't share his personal matters with others, right? So he's very selective. So likes to be where the work is going on, action is there. He is competitive, efficient, enterprising, fearless, and he is a person who is result oriented. So the communication style which we adopt may be that of a controller, where whole focus is on the task. So task is more given more weightage by the individual who adopts this particular style of communication. The second style of communication is labeled as that of a analyzer and a thinker. Now, when I say a person who has analyzer or thinker style of communication, this person thinks a lot, gathers the data a lot, gathers information, only then he tries to come to certain conclusion. So he's a person who takes assessment of everything and he tries to gather the details and the data and the information. This person is more prone to individual work rather than a group work. And he is basically a person who is introvert, who doesn't open up with others much and doesn't talk about his personal matters. Very organized, and he's well planned, and whenever it is required, he's able to do the meticulous planning for the task at hand. He's cautious, logical, and he is very thoughtful. And this person is idea oriented. So the communication style which he adopts is based upon gathering of data, information, then coming to logical conclusions. Then there are people who communicate like a supporter and relator. So communication style, this person would like to build relationships with other. So where the director or the commander communication style gives more focus to the task, this person gives more focus to the building up relationship with the people. And thus he accepts the values acceptance, being a part of the group, and would like to like stability. He is slow with big decision. He doesn't take big decision easily, but he has lot of network of friends, and he's a very good listener, concern for others' feelings, and he's easygoing, this person, and is friendly and sensitive. In other words, what I said, he's a relationship oriented rather than the task oriented person. Similar to this kind of style is another style, that is that of promoter and socializer. Now the title indicates that this person would like to be where group is going on, some group activity. He acts like an entertainer. He is very, very open and extrovert who would like to mingle with people, and he is always looking for ideas and is very impulsive in trying out new ideas. And he would want to work to be for fun for everyone. That means he would like to create an environment where people can enjoy. He's talkative and he's also flexible. So he doesn't stick to tasks for a long period of time. He would like to shift his stances. Then intuitive, creative, and he's a person who is very optimist. Now when we say there are 4 different styles, that of a director or a commander, analyzer or a thinker, supporter or a relator, promoter and socializer. Now none of these styles is right or wrong. Each style can be used and is appropriate for different set of conditions. I would like all of you to watch this small video which gives you that no style in itself is right or wrong. ओ भाई थोड़ा कितने क्या वॉल्यूम कितने नहीं वो तो 12 कर देनी है बट आया नहीं अच्छा लग गया ही नहीं होया लग गया तो होया सी
ये यहाँ टाइट कर दो
करण जी
हाँ जी मैम
Hi, I'm Bill Lampton. Welcome to Let's Talk About It. Today we're going to talk about communication style. I'm sure you've had the experience of working very closely with someone that you just can't communicate with. No matter what you do, you really cannot get along. Likewise, they don't get on your wavelength either. Now, sometimes we call this a personality clash, a personality conflict. However, it's really not that complicated. Usually, it's just a matter of people using different communication styles. Briefly, here are the 4 major communication styles. We can remember them easily because of the acronym in the word DISC, D-I-S-C. The first type, D, is dominant. This is your CEO type. Very little patience with people. Wants the job done, wants it done now. No reasons, no excuses. Don't do it tomorrow, do it today. Or yesterday would be preferable. The D type is the person who looks at the organization's needs and drives it towards those needs. The second type, the I type, is the influencer. And the influential person is one everybody likes to be around. Instead of being task-oriented, this person is people-oriented. Likes to tell jokes, the life of the party, and even can liven up a meeting. The third type, the S type, stands for steadiness. This person probably will have been with the organization for a long time and will continue to be because the S person doesn't like change. The S person is your best team player and wants consensus, wants everybody to be happy before you move ahead. The fourth style, the C style, compliance. This is the person who wants you to adhere to every rule. This might be the CFO of the organization, so you can't go outside the budget. You might suggest something in a meeting, a progressive idea, and the C-type says, well, we've never done it that way before. Having described these 4 types, I need to say next that there's no right or wrong type. There's no type that's better or worse. They're all valuable. Look, for example, at a football team. Let's say you're going to a game and the team comes out on the field. You look out there and every player is wearing the number 7, which is usually a quarterback's number. They're all trying to be quarterback. They're throwing passes, but there are no receivers. There are no blockers. There are no tacklers. There's nobody in the secondary defending. Hey, that's not a team. No, all 4 types are valuable. I suggest that if you haven't done so already, that you complete the DISC survey form, which is very moderate expense and only takes you 10 minutes to do.
Now friends, what I said, that there is no right and wrong style of communication, and Bill Lampton supported that each style is appropriate for certain condition. When the task is more important, it is urgent, maybe you act like a commander as a director. When it is the task is not that important and you have time which you can spend on this, maybe you give equal weightage to task and the relationship oriented, and your communication style is that of a promoter, socializer, or maybe the supporter and the relator. So, but when you have to take a very policy decision and maybe important decision which affects number of people, at that time maybe analyzer and thinker style may be more appropriate. Or maybe when you are thinking of solving a problem where a lot of data and information is needed, maybe at that time you will need to act like an analyzer and a thinker. So different styles would work effectively in different conditions. Now, yesterday we started with broadly what are the teacher related, student related, and message related, method and media related, and learning environment related factors that affect communication. I'm going to skip some of those things which are repeat, but we'll pay more focus to uh, on the points which we didn't dealt at length yesterday. And this I have done that the two important principles are know thy subject and know thy instructional objectives. And third principle is know thy audience. So this was dealt at length yesterday. Let's go to the message component. I just gave you that you can go in for logical and psychological sequencing. But here I would like to deal with when we and subheadings. When I started with the topic on communication yesterday, I said we deal with the concept of communication, the process of communication, and then the factors affecting the communication. And when I came to the process of communication, I said there are different elements. Yes, chronology, what it refers to. What happened? Chronology किसको रेफर करती है? Aditya? Okay. Can I get a response? What is chronological organization? Chronology refers to the timeline. So say for example, you are dealing with the growth of the Indian economy over 12 5-year plans. So you start with the first 5 year, second 5 year, third 5 year, fourth 5 year plan, and then come to the 12th 5 plan. And there is a year that is now it is 2012 to 2017. So you have a continuity and you start with the first plan and then come to 12th plan. If you're dealing with history of engines or history of computers, the historical development, again a timeline can be adopted. So if you have a data or information which can be arranged as per the time, then you follow the chronological organization. Then there is journalistic organization. How many of you read newspaper? Yes, I'm getting 1. I hope many of the participants here are reading the newspaper. Any particular news item, give answer to number of questions. What are those questions which any news item answers? Yes? Audience, if you are with me, kindly try to answer the question. Any particular news item tries to answer number of questions. Isn't it what happened, when it happened, where it happened, who was involved in it, what were the consequences of that happening, how the adverse consequences could be avoided, and what will be the future action plan. Now these are the questions which can be answered. Think, can you use journalistic organization in the subject you are teaching? For example, we have now witnessed that in J&K there were floods. Now if you want to write a case of what happened in J&K, what happened in Uttarakhand, maybe what happened in Ahmedabad and Latur, or what happened in Goa when tsunami came. So you can all try to write, jot down, prepare an account by answering these questions. What happened, where it happened, when it happened, why it happened, who was involved, what were the consequences, and so on. So journalistic organization can be used to deal with the content where you would like to give a detailed description of an incident, an account, or a happening which has taken place. So they can be used as case studies. Then concept mapping can be done by the teacher to facilitate easy understanding of the subject. So taking a very simple example, normally this is the example I use, force. You need the subordinate concept of mass and acceleration. To understand the concept of acceleration, you need the understanding of velocity and time. If I have to understand the concept of velocity, I need to know the concept of displacement and time. So there is all these subordinate concepts which need to be known to understand the concept of force. It also gives you an idea in what sequence these concepts need to be taught. It is immaterial whether you teach mass first or acceleration first. But if you need to understand acceleration, then all the subordinate concepts must be known. Then yesterday I said, when you are organizing the content matter, it must be from simple to complex. When you are dealing with, yesterday we took an example of differential equation. So first order, second order, higher order. Easy to difficult, that you are dealing with those things which are easy to understand. So taking a simple example of addition, 1 digit, 2 digit without a carry, 2 digit with a carry, and so on. Known to unknown, I gave the example yesterday that you start from the context in which the student is living, the context he is experiencing. So take up examples which are from his own context, maybe rural area, maybe urban area, and then try to take him to the examples from international scenario. Or you deal with first pose questions related to the concepts he has already learned, that is known, then try to bring in the new information and try to build association. So if you bring the known to the working memory of your students, it is very easy for the student to relate the new information to what he already knows. So always try to move from known to unknown. Then any subject has large number of concrete concepts and abstract concepts. Anybody would like to give me one example of concrete concept and an abstract concept? Yes? GB Pant? Ji, can I request one of the members to give me an example of one of the concrete concepts and one of the examples of abstract concept from the subject you are teaching? Hello? क्या बात हो गई? मेरी समझ नहीं आ रही है या क्वेश्चन इज नॉट क्लियर? माइक ऑन कर लीजिए, आपका माइक स्विच्ड ऑफ है. माइक आपका ऑफ है, काइंडली स्विच ऑन द माइक. लैपटॉप पे आपका जो माइक है वो स्विच्ड ऑफ है, उसको ऑन कर लीजिए काइंडली. जी. So ma'am, request one of the members to give me an example of concrete concept and an abstract concept.
Well, we are not clear about this concrete and abstract concept.
Okay. When I say concrete concept, it has a tangible referent. You can pinpoint that object and name it. For example, if I take a case of computer science and I say this is a mouse, now there is a tangible referent which can be pointed out. I say this is a monitor. I can show somebody this is a monitor. It requires no definition. But when I say programming, this is a concept which cannot be understood without a definition. This is what is referred to as the defined concept or an abstract concept. Or you take an example of like instructions, security, you talk of database management, or you'd say data, even that needs to be defined. So anything which requires definition to be understood is an abstract concept. Anything which is a referent which can be pointed out is referred to as concrete concept. So whenever we go to the class, we start using terminology. We start saying, okay, there is a drill machine, lathe machine, and so on. But we do show them the diagrams. Why can't we take our students first to the workshop, show the real machinery to them, so that they have a clear visualization of the actual machinery, and then that terminology is used. So they'll be able to relate to the real object. Likewise, in other discipline like civil, you have number of examples. So wherever you are teaching, there is floor, there are walls, there is roof, there is beam, there is column, so on. So when person is teaching that, always try to first relate to concrete concepts and then come with abstract concepts. So easy to understand. Another is observation to reasoning. Now, many a times we do not pose questions why, related to why. But that is very important component in effective communication. So, what is needed? You provide an exposure to the student, to the situation, and then pose questions why it happened. Now, for example, you are throwing two balls of different masses from a same height, and you pose a question, show them how the balls are falling to the ground, and then ask which one would reach faster and why. Let them answer this question. There are two vehicles coming from the opposite, so you need to use simulation and animation because you can't show it in reality. Maybe you can take the student to a tall building, throw the masses from the top of that building. If you can do that, real experience has no substitute. But otherwise, animation, simulation come to the rescue of the teacher. So always try to first show a phenomena, show a process, and then pose questions why it happened or how it happened. So observation to reasoning will be easy to understand. Yesterday we have taken it the principle of KISS, that is, keep it simple and short. If you can say what you want to say in fewer words, it is always desirable. Use simple language. So yesterday also I said you can use a mixed language to enable the student to understand, and whatever you say has to be grammatically correct. If I am speaking incorrect English, then it creates hindrance in the process of communication. My student is stuck up. Wherever you commit a mistake, the student is stuck up there. His whole attention is towards the mistakes I commit as a speaker. And whatever you use, the terminology has to be technically correct. Whatever discipline you are teaching, according to like voltage, current, when I am saying, then voltage specific reference is there. Current has a specific reference. So where this terminology is being used and should be clear. So yesterday I gave you that nonverbal communication can be classified into 5 areas. Kinesics, which include your facial expression, gestures, body postures, eye contact. Then paralanguage, tonal quality, the volume, the pitch, the rhythm, articulation, pronunciation. Artifacts refers to your dress, jewelry, accessories, tattoos, perfume, hairstyle, etc. And chronemics refer to the time dimension at which point of time the communication is taking place. And proxemics refers to the utilization of space dimension. Let's see some of these things. The very first principle is to maintain eye contact. Now when I say maintain eye contact, if you ask the people to sit back to back or you don't maintain an eye contact with them, that means you don't show concern for them. It is very difficult to continue with the communication if you are asked to sit back to back. It becomes rather difficult if you have to talk to unknown and strangers while sitting back to back. But in the classroom situation, if the teacher is catering to the needs of, say, only front benches, then he is doing injustice to others. A teacher needs to have distributed eye contact with the class. Distributed means sometimes you are looking towards your left, then to right, then to the people sitting in the middle, then addressing the people who are sitting at the back bench of the class. So you are trying to address to all the students in the class rather than addressing a selected section of the class. Another example I gave you yesterday, that while making use of the PowerPoint presentation or you draw a technical diagram on the board, you have your back towards the class. So at that point of time, you start talking to the wall. So please avoid that, because you do not know what are the reactions of your students at that point of time. Whether they are able to pay attention, are they able to concentrate on what you are doing on the board, or when you are speaking to yourself, reading the PowerPoint presentation. The beauty of any projected media is that you can maintain an eye contact with the class. So use that to your advantage rather than your disadvantage. What do you see here? The very first image, what it conveys to you? Happy. Okay. Any answer from GB Pant? I want participation. Yes.
The person in the first image is looking cheerful, ma'am.
Okay. The second one?
The second one is like he's thinking something.
Or gloomy or the sad. The third one? Confused, surprised.
The third,
Right? In other words,
yes, ma'am.
what we say, face is the index of your mind. Whatever feelings are existing within you, they get reflected on your facial expression. So a teacher, when he or she is interacting with the student, number of emotions are going on at the same time. And most of the time it is said the teacher needs to be pleasant looking. He or she needs to bring to the class a little smile on the face. Why? Because if you give that kind of a look to your students, the students would be forthcoming with their problems, with their questions. They'll be ready to interact with you. But if you adopt a very stern kind of a posture, facial expression, then that interaction may not be there with the student. So the students may be hesitant to interact with you. So most of the time, a pleasant, smiling face, everybody wishes to be in the company of the people who are happy, right? But if you are sad on account of something which has happened, then that sadness gets reflected. But if you're dealing with an incident which was of a very serious nature, then you cannot be smiling while you're narrating that incident. So your facial expression must match the content which you are dealing in the classroom situation. If you are really angry with your students on account of a problem created in the class with severe consequences, maybe you need to reflect that anger to them. If you say the same thing in smiling way, students may take it the other way. They don't take you seriously when you are smiling and sharing your anger with them. So you have to match your verbal content with your facial expression. So they should match each other. The more the congruence, the more will be the effectiveness of your communication. Here you can see what kind of various facial expression you can have and what you need to, and they convey many things to you. If you look at the image, the facial expression, they convey many things to you. So while you are teaching, one thing is you pay attention to your facial expression, but you must also try to obtain feedback on the basis of the facial expression of your students. Because while they are showing different facial expressions, they are conveying you many things. Maybe if they are looking very like the first one, the smiling and attentive, that means they are with you. They are able to understand what you are teaching. A person like the second image which you see, he is now in a doubt whether it's right or wrong, whether he has understood or not. Maybe that kind of information you are getting from the facial expression of your students. So teacher need to be vigilant what kind of feedback he is trying to interpret on the basis of observing the facial expression of the students. Likewise, your student do the same thing. They interpret your state of mind by looking at your face. Now here, use appropriate gestures. So gestures lend support to what you say. And here, in many of the libraries, you might have come across a poster with a finger on the lip. You have seen a cigarette with a cross on it. right? वो क्या symbol है? But here we are talking about your hand gestures, right? So when you are saying well done, or you are trying to emphasize on certain points, so your hands are moving like this, or here you can see what are the common hand gestures which convey lot many things. Hang loose, call me, loser, high five, and you can say when you dislike and like, right? Bang bang, okay, a hole, and check place. Likewise, when you are dealing with whatever subject you are teaching, you need to use your normal gestures. One thing, do not impose gestures on yourself. If you are in the habit of using gestures, go ahead and use your normal gestures, right? But in case you get a feedback from any one of the students that it is distracting. Now, I share one experience. I was teaching in Aryabhat Polytechnic. We had a program, and I was teaching. Two of the participants at the end of the session, they started discussing between them and started laughing. So I just asked, because I knew them from early courses, so I just asked them, what is the matter? He says, ma'am, it doesn't pertain to you. I said, please, because I finished and you took up the matter. They said, if we share, would you please mind or would you accept it? I said, okay, you share with me. I don't mind getting the feedback. So one of them did this. So I said, what is it? He said, ma'am, this is what you do. Whenever you pick up your hand and you're explaining something, there's always a rotation of your hand, and sometimes it is distracting. Now that day, when I received that feedback, now I'm very conscious. Over the years, I have tried to minimize that habit. But then you have to put in deliberate attempt to minimize the use of a gesture which is distracting one or the other student in the class. So please be watchful of the gestures which you use in the class. And many of our colleagues, they are in the habit of putting their hands in the coats, jackets, or they cross their hands on their chests. Now, these are all symbols of closed communication. When I say these are all symbols of closed communication, it simply means that you don't invite any interaction, you don't give any weightage to the viewpoints expressed by others, and you think whatever you have said is right. So it is a very authoritarian stance which you adopt. So avoid these things when you are teaching in the class, and always teach with open hands, so that it is very interactive and you are expecting a response from your students and you are expecting their interaction in the classroom. I give one example of the posture. Here you can see three images. The poor posture, which you need not adopt. Good posture, the erect posture, the upright posture, head held high, shoulders straight, dashing forward. That is the kind of posture you should exhibit in the class, which is a symbol of dynamism, enthusiasm, and energy. So sometimes when we are speaking on the lectern stand, so we adopt this. थक गए हैं, and we use this as a support. So when we are standing in the class near the table, तब भी लटक जाते. So it is that you are tired, or maybe you are not well. So that is obnoxious. Somebody who is observing you also gets into that. So please try to pay attention to your posture unless and until it is urgent. Always try to adopt an erect posture in the classroom situation. This is what I said yesterday, be audible. If you're talking to 10 people, you should remain audible to 10. If you're talking to 20 people, remain audible to 20. If you're talking to 80 people, remain audible to 80. And many times we experience that my voice quality is such that it doesn't reach the last student sitting in the class. What do? There is technology at your disposal. Make use of the wireless mics and use it in the class so that the person is able to hear the words which you are speaking. Once the hearing starts, the learning process would start. If the person is not able to receive the audio signals, learning process will not start. So learning would start only when he hears the word, he tries to pay the attention and he tries to interpret those words and derive the meaning out of those words. So be audible. And another important is articulation and pronunciation. Articulation and pronunciation go hand in hand. The better the articulation, the better will be the pronunciation. Here, many of the common words which we use are mispronounced. Now here, one word. I can have a response from the audience here. ETV, can you speak, ma'am? Unchi bolo. Okay. Anybody from the GB
Generally.
Generally. Okay. But most of the people when use this word, they say journally. R comes before N. So one has to pay attention. The second, if somebody would like to speak from GB Pan. Hanji? Yes?
Mispronunciation.
Okay, mispronunciation.
Mispronunciation.
Okay, mispronunciation rather than pronunciation. Okay.
Hierarchy.
Anybody else who would like to speak? Okay, hierarchy. Okay. Anybody who would like to try?
etc.
Etc. Okay. Noun है फिर भी पूछ रही हूँ. What is it? The computer science people? Anybody from computer science? Hanji?
Ma'am, it is Linux. Hello?
Hanji?
Hello?
Yes?
But since it is proper noun, some people call it Linux as well.
Okay. I said it is a noun, but still I am posing this question. It doesn't matter whether you say Linux or Linux, but the proper pronunciation is Linux, right? And here, a very simple word which is being used by all of us.
Boolean.
Boolean नहीं है, कुछ और बोलो. Yes, इतना लटका के नहीं. Stress कहाँ पे जाती है? हाँ. Boolean algebra. Boolean. Okay. Whose phone? Hanji. Yes. I think I've got Hanji. I've got a right response here. The repo rather than repet. तो repet भी बोलते हैं लोग इसको. Yes.
Zoology.
Zoology. Zoology. Okay. So fine. There are a number of examples where we are using incorrect pronunciation. And if the teacher is giving the incorrect pronunciation, the students are picking the same pronunciation. That's why it is said the teacher who taught the student in the class is the one who had impacted the pronunciation of the student to a large extent. So if you had got a very good teacher, your pronunciation may be good, but if you or I had a poor teacher, maybe my pronunciation would have been very, very bad. So pay attention to the simple words which you are using, whether they are correctly pronounced or not, and pay attention to every dictionary nowadays has phonetics in them, and it gives you how to pronounce a particular word. So pay attention to that. Listen to others when they use the word and try to pick up the right pronunciation. Check your rate of delivery. Now, when we say check the rate of delivery, then a human ear can discern almost 200 words per minute. If a person speaks at 200 words per minute, even then the human ear will be able to discern those, will be able to understand. And you have come across stenographers, the personal secretaries, personal assistants who take the dictation, and stenography, they take the notes, so they are able to pick up that. But a student who has to understood cannot understand all the words if you speak so fast. So rate of delivery has to be between 90 words per minute to 110 words per minute. If you're dealing with certain simple, easy things, rate of delivery can be little faster. But if you're dealing with complex, difficult things, the rate of delivery has to be slower. Vary your pitch. We are here to deal with the communication. Communication is the process of sending and receiving messages distorted with noise with some effect and opportunity for feedback. Now, this is one way of while you are dealing with the concept of communication. The other is that you use your pitch and bring in variation. So when you say communication is the process of sending and receiving messages distorted by noise, the effect on the student is different. So he is able to discern each and every word which you are speaking. He remains attentive and is able to concentrate on what is being said. Otherwise, monotony creeps in. You can use different modes for communicating to your students. First is whispering. Whispering we all understand. Kanafusi. When you go very near to the person, you don't want to share anything with others. But what happens when in a social situation you start whispering? The other person, curiosity is aroused. He is anxious to know what is it that the teacher is talking to one student. Why is not she sharing with others? So what is it? What is that secret which she is sharing with one particular student? You are unnecessarily arousing the anxiety level of your students. Then there is another yelling. If you look at the continuum, other end of the continuum, yelling. As far as possible in social situations, yelling is to be avoided because you don't have control over the language. You can't control your facial expression or the body movement. So please avoid whispering and yelling in social situations. You ought to remain within being soft to being loud. When I say soft, a teacher needs to be soft when the student is in problem. Student is unable to understand. Student is unable to respond. You ought to maintain your cool and you ought to be very soft when you're dealing with that kind of a student. Most of the time, use conversational mode. Conversational as if you are talking one-to-one with the student. It should not look like that you are teaching, but it should look like you are talking to someone, and that is conversational. And loud. when you ought to be loud, when you want to assert something, when there are a large number of students sitting in the class, when the student is distant from you, or you want to make sure that they pay attention, maybe you are a little louder than your normal mood of delivery, right? So always try to remain between being soft to being loud. Pauses play important role. They change the meaning of the sentence. Now say for example in Hindi, best example is Roko mat jaane do. Roko mat jaane do. Now if I put a pause at a particular place, the meaning is different. When I change the pause, the meaning is different. Roko, that means stop him, don't let him go. Another is roko mat, don't stop, let him go. So there, when you are speaking English, where you put a pause, change the meaning of the sentence. So pay attention to the correct pauses, the use of pause while you are speaking. Now here again you see the images. What is common among that is the dress. So dress formally. This has been always be conservative when you are going to the class and dress formally. I cannot go to the class like this. If I go to the class like dressed like this, it is more that I am going for a modeling assignment rather than a teaching assignment. The students are going to pay more attention to my sari and my jewelry or my stance which I adopt. And if now this is a trend, as many fingers you have, as many rings you have. So please avoid, because unnecessarily you are diverting the attention of your students to these things and they'll not be able to concentrate on the message. Respect the distance zone, and I say don't go so near to the person that he has to say, please maintain a distance, or please give me my personal space, then talk. So don't encroach upon the personal space of the student. Always try to maintain the essential distance. This I have already explained to you yesterday. Any idea? Avoid verbal virus. क्या होता है verbal virus? Yes. When I say verbal virus or the filler words, these are most frequently used words or phrases. I met my friend after 10 years, you see. We went to the restaurant, you see. We had a lunch and we spent almost 1 hour, you see. We discussed at length the politics, the family, the education, the places one has visited, you see. Now what is to be seen here? You fail to understand. So this is, you see, is most frequently used word by an individual which has no potential meaning in the conversation. So many of us are either in the habit of using okay, yes, you see, you know, look, actually. Now this is very much in vogue these days, actually, right. Now every time you are making use of this, and what a student is doing in the class, he is putting frequency marks. How many times the teacher has used you see, you know, okay, and that become your takiya kalam, and you are known by that name. You know, aa gaya, you see, aa gaya, ya aa gayi. So this is how we get our nicknames from the students. So please try to find out when you are speaking, are you making use of any filler words or any verbal virus is there when you speak? If you are able to identify that, then try to eliminate that. So if you allow your speech to be free of the verbal viruses or the filler words, the greater will be the effectiveness. So pay attention to your verbal virus. Silence. कहते हैं silence is one great art of conversation. But we are more prone to speaking. किसी भी मौके को चूकने नहीं देते. There is a little indiscipline created in the class. The teacher would like to point out to the student. क्या उस समय can I use silence to my advantage? I was continuing with the explanation, but I see there is some problem created at the back. I silently observe for a few fraction of seconds. That itself conveys that I am observant. I have noted that you are creating the problem. You want to share certain serious matter with the student. A silence before that conveys your feeling. Something sad, something untoward incident which you are going to share, silence would be off. Okay. Something serious shared by the student and you are silent. Some very absurd question posed to you in the class, a fraction of second silence conveys that to the student. So you can use silence to your advantage if you make use of it appropriately. So it is important and said not only to say the right thing in the right place, but far more difficult to leave unsaid the wrong thing at the tempting moment. कई बार गुस्सा इतना आ जाता है and we start abusing, criticizing the other individual, and we don't have control over our language. Later on we may repent, but if we are able to control that and go to silence or use silence, then the situation will be normalized. This also we have taken up. Be friendly with your students. But when I say be friendly, there is a thin line which you need to observe. You cannot be so friendly that you sit, stand, eat, play with your students. There is always a decorum which needs to be maintained. Maybe once in a while you share with them your foods, tea, etc. But not that you go with them for the movies, go for the restaurants, take your drink with them and so on. Friendly means you remain approachable. You remain accessible so that students can share their fears, apprehensions, problems, and they can take your advice or take your opinion regarding the matters which are troubling them. So be friendly, they'll be interacting, they'll be opening, they'll be sharing, and so you are able to create a rapport with your students. This the next point we have taken up yesterday. I would now say that whenever you are communicating, it should not be that you continue for 1 hour. At times you should give pauses in between where you give time to the student to assimilate what you have said. So in between you stop for maybe 1 minute, 2 minutes, allow them to reflect back what you have dealt with, then pose questions whether they have understood or not. So some time is required for assimilating what is being discussed. And it is important that you try to obtain feedback because communication is two-way process. It is not one way. So wherever you feel that you have a question for the student, pose a question, get the response, give them the task, see their performance, and then on the basis of your feedback which you have received, proceed further. But while you are providing the feedback, you must take care of that whatever feedback you provide has to be task related. You cannot generalize or make a generalized comment on the student. You are not worth anything. We sometimes say to our children and to our students, you are actually hurting the self-esteem of the person. Always say the answer you have given, this part of the answer is right, this part of the answer is wrong. So you are ensuring the relevant feedback which needs to be accurate and specific. Pinpoint, you cannot say overall it is good. What is overall? You tell what part is good, what part is bad, where it is right, where it is wrong. What needs to be done? That means you need to be corrective. How to improve upon the performance, that is the purpose of the teacher. And it has to be immediate. So whatever feedback flows to the student, it should have all these 5 essential characteristics. You have to be objective. When I say accurate, specific, so you need to avoid subjectivity. So, and you remain objective while providing the feedback. Then we come to the last part of our discussion today, how to improve upon one speaking skills. May I get some responses from the audience first? Yes? What can we do to improve the speaking skills?
First thing can be practicing in front of the mirror, because they actually tell you how you are responding in front of the class.
Fine, ma'am. Thank you. Anything else?
We can communicate with our friends. If any we speak it wrong in a wrong way, they can improve it.
Okay. Okay. Fine. So I have jotted down broadly 2 strategies.
Yes.
The first one, each one of us is carrying a mobile phone which has a video built in. So if you can record your communication in classroom and then you try to obtain the feedback maybe from 2 to 3 students in the class, one of your close friend or a subject expert, and then you try to accept that feedback, you remain open whatever the people say, and then you try to analyze your strengths and weaknesses with respect to maybe the explanation, the use of examples, the rate of delivery, the kind of posture, the tonal quality, the pitch variation, the use of pauses, the use of time given for assimilation, and so on. All these variables which are important in determining the effectiveness, you can try to analyze your strengths and weaknesses on the basis of that. And then you try to eliminate your weaknesses. And my friend has rightly said, because it is a skill, there is no other alternative but to practice, practice, practice. And deliberate attempt has to be made by the individual to improve one's speaking skill. While you are practicing, you can stand against the mirror and practice. Another one is choose a role model. That role model can be your teacher, can be a friend, can be a family person, can be a person from the society, can be anybody working in the society. So he can be a political leader, can be a doctor, can be a journalist, whosoever you admire is your role model. You try to find out who's your role model as far as the speeches concerned. Follow that person. Follow means try to listen to that person for quite some time, at least a month's time if you get an opportunity, and try to imitate the role model, what words he or she uses, how he pronounces the word, in what context the words are used, what kind of gestures, what is the rate of delivery, what is the articulation and pronunciation of that person. In management, it is said, steal good ideas shamelessly. So don't be hesitant to pick up the things which you like among others. Many times at the back of the trucks, it is also written, रीस करो जलना जलो मत रीस करो, fine, for a good thing. Then practice, practice and practice. So practice, the person has to put in effort, and the mirror practice can be one of the ways which can be used to improve the speaking skill. And never try to lose an opportunity where you have to speak. The more you speak, the better will be your articulation, pronunciation, the more confident you feel in other situations, and you can improve upon. So these are some of the principles for effective speaking. So thank you very much for joining us. So any question the audience has? Um, Please go ahead. Do you have any question?
Ma'am, who is your role model?
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Any other participant would like to pose any other question? No? If there are no questions, friends, then we break for a cup of have a break for a cup of tea, reassemble by 11:30, and we'll have the next session on listening skills by one of the resource persons. So thank you very much, and see you at 11:30. क्या हो गया जी? Close window. Okay. listening. It started in education department.
I think.
नहीं
अच्छा अभी नहीं हुआ?
नहीं वो हले हाँ जी देखो जी कनेक्ट करो
Connected है.
वो है किथे उन्होंने दिखा भी तो देना फिर we start नहीं हले दिख नहीं रहे हाँ जी welcome back to the second session of the day. Are you there, friends? Yes.
Hello, ma'am.
Anji, so all participants here are here, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, well, friends, it is my proud privilege to introduce to you all Mrs. Konika Mehta, who is presently working in Regional Institute of English, and she is a personality development and communication skill trainer, and she has to her credit the Masters of Business Administration, specialization in human resource, and she in addition to that has done diploma in guidance and counseling from Punjab University, and she is at present pursuing online international diploma in professional development training course with a research module from Global Training Academy since March 2014. And she has a very brilliant career at her back and a very experienced person as far as the training is concerned. She has worked with HDFC, Standard Life Insurance for a period of training. Then she has worked in the Bank of America, Gurgaon, as a team member in text chat process from June 2008 to December 2008. Worked with Akash Institute Private Limited as a counselor for 1 year, then worked as a Secure Line Private Limited as an assistant zonal manager from February 11 to July 11, and then she joined Regional Institute of English as personality development trainer in July 2011, continued up to 2013, and again she joined RIE as PDT, that is Personality Development Trainer, from August 2014. And as you are all aware, Regional Institute of English is a specialized institution giving training to teachers, to students, to other society personnel for improving their communication skills and also development of the personality, preparing the students for appearing in interviews, how to write resume, how to appear in interview, how to participate in group discussion. And I think this institution has been doing a human service to the society by focusing more on articulation and pronunciation a lot, and the training which is given by the institute is more activity oriented and experiential based, whereby the people are able to improve their communication skills and so on. So I extend a very hearty welcome to Konika Mehta and thank her for accepting our invitation to be amongst all and deal with one of the important skills, which is listening skills. So friends, over to Mrs. Konika Mehta. कंप्यूटर आया
माय कंप्यूटर
हाँ है नहीं आ गया चलो
listening
okay so here
I would like to thank Dr. Tulsi for such a warm welcome, and I would like to welcome all the participants that have joined me through net and all those who are sitting here in the auditorium. We'll be beginning with an important part of communication, that is listening skills. But before we begin with the session, I would like to welcome you again, and then we'll start with a warm-up exercise here For this, I want everyone to pay attention to all the instructions that would be given by me. I'll be repeating all the instructions twice, and as I repeat the instruction, you will follow the same to know the result. Okay? Shall we begin? Shall we begin?
Please participate and give response to the presenter. Yes, ma'am. Say yes or no. माइक ऑफ है आपका, ऑन करके रख लीजिए.
मैम एक्सक्यूज मैम, आप लैपटॉप का माइक ऑन कर लीजिए. थैंक यू मैम.
Yes.
I would like to welcome you again to the session on listening skills, and we'll be starting with a quick warm-up exercise so that we know what we are heading towards, right? Are you with me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I would like everyone to leave whatever you have in your hand and just take out a piece of paper. Either it's a register paper or if it's an A4 size paper, that will do. Done?
Everyone has the paper? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, everyone show me the paper here. Please lift it for me. Any paper. Ready?
Yes, ma'am, we are ready.
Okay, let's start. Should we start?
Yes.
Okay, first every one of you, please close your eyes. Please close your eyes. Okay, let's begin. Take a sheet of paper and hold it vertically. Take a sheet of paper and hold it vertically. Okay? Fold it into half from top to bottom. Fold it into half from top to bottom. Done? Done? Okay.
Yes.
Fold it in half from right to left. From your right to left. Right, left. Okay. Tear off the right hand top corner, a thumbnail size. Just about your thumb, you'll tear off the right hand corner. Please tear off the right hand corner, the top corner. Right. Fold it in the bottom right hand corner, a thumbnail size. Fold in the bottom right hand corner, a thumbnail size. Next, tear off the top left hand corner, a thumbnail size. Tear off the top left hand corner, a thumbnail size. Done? Done? Okay.
Done.
Now open your eyes and open the paper. Open your eyes and open the paper. Show me the result. Please lift it for me. Okay. Do you all have the same result? Please see the paper. You all have the same result?
Almost the same.
Not the same really, right? Yes. Why it is so? I follow the instruction for everyone. I spoke the instruction for everyone, but still the result is different. What comes here? What is the role of communication here? Yes, I want an answer.
I think, ma'am, the interpretation of the thumbnail size would have been different for all of us.
Okay. And do you believe that some of you might be hearing more than listening?
Maybe yes.
Yes, because there are different distractions around.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you think listening is important?
Yes, ma'am.
It is? Okay. Remember
Yes.
when we were not even born, the first thing that were told to our mother was that your child will listen whatever you listen to, and your child will learn whatever you are reading, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So listening is the most important communication that plays role even if when we are not in this world, we are not born, right? Do you agree?
Yes, we do agree.
Okay, so one of you please tell me what do you mean by listening?
Listening basically means paying or hearing with a bit of attention to understand whatever you are hearing.
Okay, so you know that whenever we are listening, we are paying attention to something, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so here is the part that's I'm going to introduce is the art of listening, the art of good listening, right? Okay, let's begin.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. No, ma'am. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Okay, let's first start with the definition that's given for listening. Listening, according to ILA 1996, is the process of receiving, constructing meaningful information, and responding to the spoken or non-verbal message to hear something with thoughtful attention. Now, you know communication is two-way process, right?
Yes,
Is it?
ma'am.
Okay, one is the speaker and one is the listener, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if we receive something and we respond to it with attention, then only listening takes place. Otherwise, it's only hearing, right? Okay, do you agree? Yes. So it is a two-way communication that takes place, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And every good conversation starts with good listening, right? Okay, now remember there was Barack Obama in our country for the Republic Day celebration.
Yeah.
So what was there? There was a translator for him
Yes, ma'am.
who was showing the entire experience, what was happening there. That translator was the one who showed the real picture of what was the Republic Day celebration all about. So whenever you are seeing such thing and it has been interpreted in your language and then you give an thoughtful process to it, then listening takes place, right?
Yes.
Okay. So why listening is important? Can anyone tell me? Yes, can anyone tell me?
So that we can communicate in proper way.
Very good. What else?
Listening is
Somebody else would like to add?
listening is so that we can participate in conversation. We can
Very good.
reply better.
Very good. Very good. What else? Anybody else would like to try?
So that we can get the information what the other person wants to communicate.
Okay. Yes. Can I have a thought from you as well? Okay. To interact, listening is important, right? Let us see what points are there here. Okay. It improves relationship. Do you agree? Yes. Do you agree?
Yes.
Do you agree that listening improves relationship?
We do.
Yes? Okay. How it improves relationship is? Like we all are teachers, we are taking classes in our respective, we have students with us. when we give or when we deliver the lecture, if they respond to us, they are listening to us, there is a rapport that's built, right, between the teacher and the student. So listening is one factor that improves anybody's relationship with anyone. Although we don't listen to people we don't want to listen, like especially, you know, somebody is commanding, we tend to just hear rather than listen, but still it improves the relationship, right? Okay. Okay, next, it improves our knowledge. How does it improve our knowledge? Yes, how does it improve our knowledge?
New things which we never heard or read from anybody.
Okay.
So we can improve our knowledge by listening. Like news, in fact, the important example is news.
Okay. The example given by the member here in the audience said that it's like the news that we listen to, right? It updates our knowledge, right? What else could be there in improving your knowledge? Yes, please answer.
If I've been taught something, if I don't listen, I will not get the context of it. If I'm listening, then only I'm able to gain the knowledge from whatever has been taught to me.
Okay, yes, because you know, whenever we see to something new we are not aware of, it definitely updates our knowledge. It increases our knowledge, right? Okay? All right? Okay. Next is it improves our understanding. Now, when we build relations, there is a knowledge factor. Then, you know, when we know each other, we build understanding with each other. There's a comfort level which we build. That's the criteria we build on listening, right?
That's right.
Yes?
Right.
Okay. So it prevents from problem escalating. Now what happens, there's a project coming up in a college, right? And then the principal has designated few people to take care of it. But then the people who were supposed to do that were not good listeners. So what will happen? So what will happen? Yes, and the problem will be again sent back to the principal. It will be escalated, right?
Yes.
Okay, and it saves time, energy, and money. How?
You don't have to repeat again and again to make the context clear.
Okay, and as you're listening to me and the session is going on, if you're paying attention, then I don't have to listen, you know, repeat it again and again. So it will save not only time, it will save the person's energy as well, right? All right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's move further. Now, tell me the difference between hearing and listening. What is the difference between hearing and listening?
Hearing is just the drop of that sounds on your ear.
Okay.
In listening, we are paying attention.
Okay, anyone else would like to answer? Then can I see them in front of me?
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, listening is a two-way communication, whereas hearing is a one-way communication.
Hearing is one-way communication. How?
Hearing is some signal is simply dropping on your eardrum, but we are not paying attention to the signal or the audio signal striking the eardrum. But when listening is there, the signal is going to the brain, it is interpreted and then conceive the idea, the information which is being communicated to the audio signal.
Very good. Yes, because hearing is just the physical process. We have two ears, and you know there's a saying like that, if you don't like something, don't put it to your brain, take it out from the next ear. So where hearing is involved, you're not involving your brain there, right? You're just listening through your ear, something is popping in and then you're hearing something, right? Whereas when we listen to somebody, we pay attention because that, yes, that thought or that thing is important to the person who's listening, right? Okay?
How can hearing be a one-way process?
Here, yes, that's I'm about to answer. And hearing or listening, whatever it is a two-way process. See, communication cannot happen where two people are not involved, right? One would be speaking and one would be listening to whatever the other person is speaking, right? Correct?
That's right.
Okay?
Yep.
Okay, so let's move further.
Somebody does not agree here.
Yes, please, I would like to know.
There are two persons who are having of information both in hearing. Hello. Yeah. Whereas hearing, it is not two, because the person who held the audio signal on his eardrum has not conceived the information. So he or she would not be in a position to revert back or give a feedback. So it is not a two-way communication, it is a single-way communication. Though there are two persons involved in both hearing and listening, but it is a two-way communication. But when you say it is listening, that means you are conceiving the idea and then you have a feedback or to comment also on what has been received or conceived by the person who has listened.
Very
So
true.
it is a two-way communication.
Very true, but then what I was trying to say here is that whenever you hear something, there has to be somebody who's speaking, right? There has to be something that is being said by someone. So the person who's hearing may or may not be in personal contact with the person who's speaking. But whereas in listening, when you're listening to someone, you're giving your ear to someone, you're actually paying attention to each and every information that has been given, right? Okay?
Right, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, so
Basically, we have in.
yes.
I was just saying that in hearing, if you take the word hearing itself, if you remove the edge, then we have got ear. And I've got, I guess, we have got 2 ears in hearing, so that we can use one ear to listen here, and then the other ear to emit it out. So that's what happens in hearing. And probably in listening, it goes into the brain.
Yes, it goes to the brain. Brain plays an important role when you're listening because you're paying attention, you're wholeheartedly interested in whatever the conversation is, right?
Right.
Okay, again, hearing is a physical process, whereas listening is physical and mental both, right?
That's right.
Sorry, do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. Hearing is natural, whereas listening is a learned process. It's a skill, right? Okay?
That's right.
Okay, and then hearing, it's passive. When somebody has spoken, you've heard. Maybe you're in a contact with that person or not, but you've got the information, right? Whereas in listening, it's active. You know, you're hearing something, you're responding back to it, right? Clear?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, next. Now there are 5 steps of receiving some information, right? In context to your listening. Now, you have to be attentive to what the other person is saying. That involves your brain activity. When you're attentive, you know what the other person is saying. You'll pay attention to the content. You'll pay the attention to whatever has been said. Clear?
Yes.
Okay, then you have to listen to the content. Now, listening, again, it involves that you are paying attention. You are 100% there to the speaker. You've given your ear to know what the person is trying to say. Okay? Next is listening for emotion. If I share something that is sad or gloomy, you will give me the expression or you'll give me the emotion that matches that content. You know, if I'm sharing something bad that has happened, you will not giggle, right? At the same time, if I'm sharing something secret, you'll give your ear like this. Or at the same time, if I want your empathy, or if I want you to understand what I'm going through, then you will show me that kind of expression to your emotions. Got it?
Right.
Okay, then paying attention means like you are doing right now. Whatever I'm speaking, you are responding back. Yes, okay, all right. All these are the way you respond to somebody's information, right?
That's right.
And if you don't have any, you don't understand any part of it, then you start asking questions. You paraphrase it. You ask your questions to clarify the thought, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so these are the 5 steps, or it's a circular form which starts from being attentive and ends to asking question if it's not clear, right? Correct? Okay. Next is types of listening. One is appreciative type of listening. Now, appreciation, what do you mean by appreciation? Yes, anybody would like to try? Very good. Appreciative, which you appreciate? Right. Okay, from the participants here, anyone would like to answer? What is appreciative listening? Yes, anyone? Just a try, maybe?
I think it's about to give some positive response while listening anything, and you are connected to the person who is speaking, and you are somewhere positive about the things which he has said.
Okay, how many of you have watched the movie PK? How many of you have watched the movie PK? Please raise your hands.
Almost everybody, I guess.
Everybody?
No.
Okay, there were certain dialogues there, right? Where, we appreciated the fact that he was trying to put forward. Like, one was that he was trying to say that although there is only one God who has created us, but then we have managers of different gods who've told us to perform the rituals, right? So there, correct?
Right, right.
Okay, so there were appreciative listening for the thought that were put forward by Amir Khan over there, right? Because we all know that only one God is there who created every human being. But then, irrespective of the fact that there are so many rituals, there are so many traditions, there are so many cultures, which has divided human into different portions or proportions, right? Do you agree?
Probably everybody agrees. I don't agree to that, but that's a different
Okay,
thing. It's
what do you want to say? What do you want to say here?
I don't believe with the idea. I don't agree with that idea.
You
There
don't
is
believe?
one God that is created.
Okay, so what do you believe in?
I believe that it was never created. It was everywhere, all the time there.
It's always there.
Right. So then I wouldn't appreciatively listen to that idea. That would be the basic point that I would make. I would not appreciatively listen. I would rather critically listen to the idea that Amar Khan puts forward.
No, what is your idea? That's what I wanted to know.
I believe that it was never created. There is no creator.
There's no creator?
Right.
Then how come we all are there in this world?
Well,
Yes?
I mean, we don't need a creator to believe that we are there. Because
But
we are there
then,
because of we are born.
okay, but we are born, there is the entire process of human birth, which cannot happen if it has not been initiated long, long back by Adam and Eve. That you know that. Who's the creator of this world? Who started this process?
Nobody started the process.
Nobody
We
started the
scriptures
process?
are to define who started the process.
Okay, then I'll have to,
It will be a different debate altogether, I guess. It might alter what we are talking about.
okay. So let's move further with this then. So coming back to appreciative listening, it is that whenever the person, learns or listens for pleasure, like we watch our movies, like we watch our comedy serials or comedy routines, then we listen to the music we like, or whatever is an entertaining thing for us. Either it's an entertaining speech, or wherever we want, okay, we want our connection to that particular content. There we are appreciatively listening to what is happening, right? Like comedy circus or comedy couples, comedy, we all are fan of such things that gives us entertainment, right? Correct?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Next is, what do you mean by empathy? And how is it different from sympathy? Yes, anyone? Would you like to answer?
Sympathy is your some sort of relation
Okay, let's hear from them. Yes, please answer the difference between sympathy and empathy.
Empathy is when you step into somebody else's shoe and try to know the problem, and sympathy would be just to kind of look it from one's own point of view and try
Yes.
to kind of.
Yes, correct. When we sympathize, see, normally when we are not connected with a person, or we are just hearing to somebody who's talking to us, or we're not connected with that human being, we generally sympathize. But when we realize the pain of, or we step into somebody's shoe to realize the actual pain, then we are empathizing. So empathetic listening would be done by a doctor itself, right? A doctor has to listen to the patient. If he'll not listen properly, then maybe the cure of some other disease would be given, right? So let's go towards the definition of this. Listening to provide emotional support for the speaker, as when as a psychiatrist listens to a patient, or when we lend a sympathetic ear to our friend. Like if you empathize to someone, he will always turn up to you. He will always come forward for advice. He will always walk up to you for that, that person's gonna understand what I am trying to say, right? Correct?
Right.
Okay. Next is comprehensive and active listening. What is comprehensive or active listening? What is active listening?
Comprehensive or active listening, like when we listen a lecture on a particular topic, then I guess we do active listening that time.
Okay, yes, because anyone else would like to answer? No one? Okay. Active or comprehensive listening is the one, like ma'am said, yes, it is when you are, paying attention, because such a thing like a lecture or a session needs to be, the other person should be involved in that. So that is where you're active to understand what the other person is trying to communicate. Clear?
Right.
Okay, listening to understand the message of the speaker, as when we attend a classroom lecture or listen to directions for finding a friend's house. So for that, you need to understand what the person is trying to communicate. Clear? Clear with it?
Yeah.
Now next part is analytical skill. What do you mean by analytical skill? Or critical? Yes, at the back, I would like to ask from the persons who are sitting at the back.
Hello?
Yes. Yes.
Analytical listening, that point to point and measurement of the listening point by the giving the lecture.
Okay. Or you can see the picture that's being displayed. There is a use of brain, wherein the brain is continuously working to know what has been done or what has been said. Now, if we go through the definition, or we go in general terms, critically is like when we critically think, or we think what the other person was trying to communicate, like a sales pitch. Have you ever heard a sales pitch? Sales pitch, when somebody is giving different targets, and then they have different figures for all the performers. So that person is trying to communicate, okay, I want these results at the end of the session, or at the end of the entire set target. Yes. So are you aware of it? Yes, are you aware?
Yeah.
Okay. listening to evaluate a message for purpose of accepting or rejecting it, as when we listen to the sales pitch of a used car dealer or the campaign speech of the political candidates. Now, recently we had, now it's been a year, more than a year, there were campaigns for different political candidates for the prime minister of our country, right? Wherein one was Modi. Why did the people turned all together from a Congress party to BJP was because the campaign or the speech given by the candidate was so much effective, was so much personal to every human being of the country that they were relating to one or the other words given by him. Do you agree? Do you agree? You're agreeing? Okay, let's move forward. Yes, yes. If there is something you would like to share. Yes, if somebody wants to speak on this.
Could you please repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Sorry?
I just missed the question. Could you please repeat the question? We missed the question.
What I'm saying is, like, when there were elections for the Prime Minister of our country, there was a speech given by Modi wherein he touched everybody's heart. He went so personal in the context that every, member or every person in our country wants a change from whatever has been happened over the years. So they related to the speech. So that was critical or analytical listening by all the listeners over there. So do you agree with that? Yes?
It was analytical.
Sorry, come again?
You're asking whether it was analytical or critical, you're asking, huh?
Yes, because what I'm trying to ask is that whether the listeners over there who were listening to the Modi speech and even we who were listening through television wanted to, make him as a prime minister. How did we chose him as a prime minister? Because we put in our critical thinking, okay, yes, he's the one who's going to change the future, who's going to bring change into our country. Do you agree to that? Yes or no? God.
GB Pearl, are you able to hear us?
Okay. Okay. It's interactive. So.
Interactive है थोड़ा सा कटा दो इन्हें every time they have to speak na yes right
We have missed the connection with you for a minute.
Okay, so we are continuing with our interaction. Ji, please.
Okay, you there?
Yes.
Okay. So moving forward to the listening's importance. Now, how important is listening to everybody, right? Listening is an important communication skill. Okay, and we probably spend more time listening rather than any kind of skill that we use in communication, right? Okay, listening requires attention because if we are not interested, then we are probably hearing or not listening to what the other person is trying to share, right? Next is, like other skills, it takes practice. Do you believe listening takes practice?
Yes. Definitely.
Okay. Real listening is an active process. Okay, some important facts that I would like to share here is that we listen to at least 125 to 250 words per minute, but at the same time we are thinking more than 1,000 or let's say to 3,000 words per minute. Do you agree? And 75% of the time we are distracted, we are preoccupied or forgetful to whatever we are listening, right?
Right.
20% of the time we remember what we hear. Only 20% is the ratio that we remember. Else, whatever we listen, we tend to forget, right?
Right.
More than 35% of businesses think that listening is a top skill for success. Because no doubt about it, because if you are listening to whatever your business target is, to whatever your superiors wants to say, then only you can achieve what is the target there for you, right?
Right. 1 second. There's a difference in opinion, I guess.
Okay.
And this ratio is too low, 35%.
35% is?
Too low.
Too low. I've marked it with the word more than. I've written there more than 35% of. It could be any percentage. Depends on business to business.
Okay. Right.
Okay? Okay. Then less than 2% of people have had formal education with listening. Now, whenever we started our schooling, what was the first thing we did? We started with speaking, different languages like English, Hindi, or wherever you've been, the language of that particular area, we start with the simple ABC of the languages, right? Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay, so that means the formal education is not there in our country regard to this important communication skill. So that's the reason only 2% of people have formal education on this particular context. Okay?
Right.
Again, listening is our primary communication activity. Our listening habits are not the result of the training but lack of it. Yes, anybody would like to say something? Should I move further?
Yeah, I guess we can move forward. We agree.
Okay. Most individuals are inefficient listener. And inefficient and ineffective listening is extraordinarily costly. Why? Because if we don't listen well, if you're not a good listener, then the person has to repeat it again and again. Then again, it's wastage of time, energy, and money. Right? Okay.
Absolutely.
Good listening. Do you believe good listening can be taught?
It probably be learned.
Yes. So that's the reason it can be taught so that the other person can learn. Right?
Right.
Now, there are certain fallacies or misconceptions about listening. The first one that's common to all is, listening is not my problem. Why will I listen? Why should I listen? Who is he who's talking to me? There are certain contexts where we people tend to close our ear to some important information that's there, right?
Right.
And listening and hearing are the same. It's one of the same thing. If I'm hearing to you, means I'm listening to you. So that's one of the same thing, right? Good readers are good listeners. Okay, if I'm a good reader, I read novels daily, I read 2 articles or papers daily, that means I'm a good listener. I can listen to anybody, right? Okay, next is, smarter people are better listeners. Okay, if I'm dressed up well, I look smart, that means I'm a good listener. So that's the big common, or it's a common problem rather. Listening improves with age, but I believe it deteriorates with age. Because one way or the other, when you have your own notions and you grow in age, there is this problem that develops in every human being. Okay, why do I have to listen now? I know pretty well, or I know what I supposed to know. And then there are certain organ malfunctioning also with age. You tend to hear less, right? Okay. Learning not to listen. So we learn not to listen. See, if if I talk about it, we know that, okay, we well versed with the knowledge, we know this, we know that, but then we gradually develop this habit of learning it that not to listen to anybody who's speaking, right? Okay, thinking about what we are going to say rather than what we are going to listen to the speaker, right? We are more interested in knowing what we are about to say rather than listening to the speaker, correct?
That's right.
Okay. Talking when we should be listening. You know, there are people who are good in, you know, interrupters. You know, when somebody is speaking, they tend to speak in between rather than listen to what the other person is trying to convey. Do you agree?
Right, absolutely.
Okay.
I have a complete example in Arnab Goswami, I guess. The Times Now news hour content.
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you. What you're trying to
I just
say?
think that there's a good example in Arnab Goswami show, News Hour. Times Now, there is this channel, Times Now, in which they have this show, News Hour, which is an example of not listening and just speaking.
Okay, yes. Okay. Okay, next is hearing what we expect to hear rather than what is actually said, right? Sometimes what we want to hear, we hear that and we leave the other information that has been said by the other person, right? We do that? Okay. Not paying attention because we are preoccupied, we have our own work, we are self-centered, there's a stereotype. Why do I have to listen to her? She doesn't look like talking, you know, sense. I don't have to listen to her. So there are stereotypes to that. Do you agree?
Right.
Okay. Listening skills are difficult to learn. So there are people who think that it cannot be learned. Rather, it can be at any age. Okay? Now, percentage on communication, like whatever percentage has been put down formally by various institutions, or it has been a result of a research which says that of 12 years of, you know, formal training, we spend 9% on this part of the communication. You know the 4 types of communication? Reading, writing, speaking, and listening? You know that? Okay,
Yeah.
So writing with the maximum number of formal training just gives only 9% out of 100 to the communication process, right? Whereas reading with more than 6 to 8 years of training contributes 16%. But in the same time, if we are talking about speaking, 1 to 2 years formal training gives us 30% of the contribution. But if you know, listening with not even zero or not even few hours of training is the one that contributes 45% of our communication. So we listen more than we speak, write, or read. Do you agree?
Right.
Okay, being teachers, what process do you include in your classes? I mean, do you combine listening, speaking both, or do you combine reading, speaking, or do you combine reading, writing, and speaking? I would like to ask from everyone who's present. Please pass the mic to everyone one by one.
Writing, speaking, and as well as listening.
Okay, yes, please pass the mic.
Speaking is
Okay. Only speaking?
Classroom teaching involves writing and
Mm-hmm.
speaking and
Okay.
listening to students' queries and problems.
Okay, very good. Yes.
Writing, listening, and speaking is involved while teaching students.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Next.
Speaking, writing, and listening.
Okay. Okay. Next.
Speaking, writing, listening.
Okay.
Speaking and writing along with listening to.
Okay. So if I remove listening from here, will you be able to communicate what you are trying to do in your classes?
No.
No. So do you believe that listening is the most important communication skill? Yes. It is? Okay. Okay, now let's see what are the 10 important keys for effective listening. So, I've made a comparison between a poor listener and a good listener, right? So you will we'll take it one by one, and I'll tell you what happens with the poor listener and the good listener. The first one is find areas of interest. What will poor listener do? If the topic is not interesting, he'll rather sleep or will not pay attention. But a good listener will take out some important information from there and will concentrate on what has been said. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. Judge content rather than delivery, right? What will happen with the poor listener? He will only see how the person is delivering the context. Whereas a good listener will see what content is there or what is important has to be grabbed. Do you agree?
Yeah. Yes.
Then hold your fire. How many of you have seen roadies? GD of roadies. Have you seen roadies?
Yes, most of it.
Okay, most of it. Now you might have seen there whenever there's a GD round, there one or the other person stands in agitation. Okay, no, I don't agree to this, or I have to say something else, or I have a different opinion. Why? Because he's a poor listener rather than being a good listener, right? So you have to hold your fire. You have to keep calm to listen to somebody who's telling something, and then when it's complete, when the person who's speaking something is complete with the information, then you talk about whatever you want to talk. Okay? Next is listening for ideas. The poor listener listens for facts, whereas the good listener will always listen to the central theme. Whatever is important, he'll pick that up. You agree?
Yes.
Okay, be a flexible note taker. If a poor listener, you're telling something, he'll be busy with the forms or other documents. Whereas a good listener first adjusts to the topic, then he takes in a very organized way, in an organizational pattern. Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay. Next, work at listening. The poor listener shows no energy or output, fakes attention. Okay, I'm listening, or pretends to be listening. Whereas a good listener, he works hard, he pays attention, he maintains that eye contact with the speaker. So there he becomes a good listener. Clear?
Right.
Okay, resist distraction. The poor listener can be distracted by the sound. If somebody is entering the room, if somebody is changing the seat, if somebody is holding the mic from one place to other, he will concentrate on that person's movement rather than the person who is speaking in front of him. Whereas a good listener will avoid all those distractions, will keep it away from it, and knows how to concentrate. Right?
Right.
Okay. Exercise your mind. The poor listener resists difficult material, seeks light and recreational material. Okay, I'm not happy with the environment here. I'm not happy with the sitting arrangement. The chairs are not good. The tables are not good. Or the working environment, or the place here is not that good. The light is not effective. He has many complaints when it comes to listening, right? But then a good listener, what will he do? He'll exercise his mind more on listening rather than other things available around. Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay. Next, keep your mind open. The poor listener reacts to emotional words. No, how can it be? My religion says so, my people say so, my culture has this thing, or he will react immediately, even knowing that the fact that has been put forward by other is a general statement. It has nothing to do with your emotional context, right? Whereas a good listener interprets emotional words that does not hung up on them. So he will keep calm, he will listen to the person, and then he will not react immediately. Correct? Okay. Thought is faster than speech. Use it. tends to daydream with slow speaker. If somebody is speaking in a slow order or is actually taking lots and lots of gaps while talking, the poor listener, what will he do? He'll either go daydreaming or will sleep in the classroom, like it happens with most of our students. You know, whenever they come across some speaker where they're not interested, they tend to sit at the back of the bench. Then slowly or steadily they're involved with different things like mobile phones, their iPads or iPods, and then they tend to sleep or daydream in the classes. Does it happen?
It does.
Yes. And the good listener challenges, anticipates, mentally summarizes, and weighs the evidence, listens between the lines and tones and voice. He will make comparison. Okay, if the speaker is speaking, he was stressing on this more rather than on that. He will stress more on the words that were spoken by the speaker. Correct?
Right.
Okay. What are the barriers to listening? Can anyone answer this? Sound. Distracting sounds, yes. What else? Come again?
Tone, voice tone.
Voice tone. Very good. What else?
Language might be a barrier along with noise.
Okay. What else?
Pronunciation.
Yes?
No.
Yes?
Pronunciation and noise.
Pronunciation, yes, it is a barrier indeed, because we tend to speak certain words with different, articulations or dialects, which means different in different notions. Like a simple word known as present. Now, if I say present, it means a gift to somebody. But if I say I'm present, means that I'm giving my attendance. Or please present this to somebody. So I'm formally asking someone to present something to the other person who's at a higher seniority. Okay? Okay, what else?
It is like cross discussion among audience.
I can't hear you. Come again.
It is cross discussion during the class or among the audience.
Okay. Okay. So let's find out what are the barriers to listening. Equate with hearing. What we do is we generally make it related to hearing, or there are certain uninteresting topics which we don't want to listen. So there we are actually we are not paying attention to what the other person or the person who is speaking is trying to say. Next, speaker's delivery. If the person is talking first at a very high pitch, then coming down, then either slowing down a bit, then you will not pay attention as much as if the speaker knows in a way how to deliver something or how to command it, right? External distraction, like if you have a change of places, if there is distracting sounds around, if there is construction, if there is a mobile phone which is ringing in between, then there are certain distractions, right?
Right.
And mentally preparing response. Now what we tend to do is, if something has been said by someone, we are preparing in our mind what to answer it in a way. We are actually thinking, okay, what could be the answer to this particular information or this particular question. So we are involved mentally more than we are listening to somebody. Correct?
Right.
Listening for facts. And then we are always, we are carried away with statistics. We want figures for everything. We want facts for everything. For that, we pay so much in, our focus is mainly on the numbers rather than the information that is given by the other person. Okay? Then the personal concern. If I want to hear to someone, if I want to listen, then only I'll listen, else I'll not. Right?
Right.
Okay, language and cultural differences, of course, since we live in a diverse society and there are different cultures and languages, A might be saying something in a language which is not, which I cannot relate to. So for me, it's a barrier to listening, right? And if somebody, a word like something would be said in one's culture which is not that good, for me it might be a happy moment, right? So there are cultural differences as well. Clear? Faking attention. Faking attention is, okay, if somebody is talking, no doubt I'm present there, no doubt my ears are here, but then I might be thinking something else. So that is faking attention. Clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now, before we move further, I would like you to listen to a passage that I'm going to repeat twice, and then based on that passage, you will answer a few questions. And once you answer those questions, we'll see what is your result, okay?
Okay.
So I want each one of you to pay attention to the passage. I will read it twice, okay? Okay, let's begin. Let's begin. Okay. Okay, I'm reading the passage twice. The man in the green jacket uses the bus to go to work every morning. The bus stop is in front of his house. This morning he got on the bus at 7:30. The bus ride from his house to work is 15 minutes. He must be at work at 8:15. I'm reading it again. The man in the green jacket uses the bus to go to work every morning. The bus stop is in front of his house. This morning he got on the bus at 7:30. The bus ride from his house to work is 15 minutes. He must be at work at 8:15. Okay, let's see the questions now. Okay, the first question. What color is the man's jacket? A, red, B, green, C, black, and D, white. Please mark your answers. I will ask you at the end. Okay? It's A, red, B, green, C, black, and D, white. How does the man go to work? How does the man go to work? A, car, B, train, C, bus, or D, walk. Okay? Should I move further?
Sure.
Okay, what is in front of his house? A, his car, B, bus stop, C, train station, or D, airport. Next question. What time did he leave for work this morning? A, 7, B, 6, C, 7:30, D, 6:30. Next question. How long does it take to get to work? A, 15 minutes, B, 45 minutes, C, 1 hour, or D, 30 minutes. Mark the answer?
Yes.
Mark the answer? Okay. When does he have to be at work? A, 7:30, B, 8 o'clock, C, 8:30, or D, 8:15. Done?
Done.
Okay, let's see the answers. Please check your answers. Okay, and tell me the marks. How many marks you got? How many of you got 6 out of 6? 6 out of 6? So we have a good listener here. Okay, 6 out of 6. Please raise your hand. I would like to see how many of you have got 6. Can't I see?
What has happened to your webcam? Oh.
Okay, how many of you have got 6 out of 6? Just tell me the number. I know.
Maybe internet. हाँ तो वैसे भी उनकी भी छुट्टी होगी only the बारिश
Hello.
Okay. Okay, are you
It
there?
was a question actually.
Oh.
I guess
Okay.
technology doesn't like the fact that we are good listeners.
Okay, so raise your hand, all those who've got 6 out of 6. Please
How
raise
many
your
have
hand.
raise your hands who have got 6 out of 6 here?
Okay, so we have good listeners here. Please clap for yourself because you've actually got full marks in listening now. Okay? Okay. I cannot hear the clapping. Please clap for yourself. Okay. Thank you. Moving forward. Moving forward.
Sure.
Now, I have another activity for you wherein I'll be playing a video. Okay? I'll be playing a video. You'll have to pay attention. How many customers moved in? What have they ordered? And what price did they pay for the product? Got it?
Yes.
Okay? Should I play the video now?
Yeah.
Okay. I have to minimize it. हाँ जी. हाँ जी. मैम इसमें वीडियो है. इसमें ना आपका वो था कहाँ? फुल कहाँ था? ये पड़ा. हाँ जी. इसमें मैम ये तो शॉपिंग. Okay, please see the video and mark your answers.
May I help you?
Yes, I'm looking for a necklace.
How about this one?
I like it. How much is it?
It's 50,001.
Great. I'll take it.
May I help you? Yes, I'm looking for a briefcase. How about this one? I like it. How much is it? It's $65. Great, I'll take it. May I help you?
Yes, I'm looking for a pair of jeans.
How about these ones?
I like them. How much are they?
They are $100.
Great, I'll take them.
May I help you?
Yes, I'm looking for a t-shirt.
How about this one?
I like it. How much is it?
It's 15,001.
Great, I'll take it.
Okay, have you seen the video?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, how many customers were there?
4.
Oh.
4? Okay, what was the first thing that was asked? Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, what price did the person paid or the lady or the man paid for the necklace? Yes?
30,000.
30,000? Okay, and the second one, who was the second one? A lady or a guy? Lady? Okay, which one did she wanted?
The lady's voice. A gentleman with a lady voice probably.
Sorry, come again?
Briefcase.
Briefcase? Okay. What amount did she paid for that?
$65.
Very good. And the third customer was?
Gentleman.
A gentleman, okay. And how much? What did he ask for?
A pair of jeans.
Very good. And what amount did he pay?
$100.
Okay. And the last one was?
Again, gentleman, but he's specs, having specs.
Okay. And then what was he demanding?
T-shirt.
And what price did he pay?
15,000.
Okay, 15,000. So please check your answers now. Raise your hands for all those who've got 4 out of 4. Raise your hands for all those who've got 4 out of 4.
30,000. Necklace was 30,000, not 50,000, ma'am.
No, it was 50,000. The lady said 50,001. So he said, okay, I'll buy it.
Probably we can play the video once again. Everybody's of the opinion that it's 30,000.
No, it was 50,000. We have audience here who's saying that it was 50,000.
Okay, probably then
Okay.
all of them got it wrong.
So how many of you have got 4 out of 4?
Nobody.
No one? Okay, 3 out of 4.
Nobody is definitely answer 30,000. Either we are all good or we are all bad listeners in that.
Okay. Okay, so how many of you have got 3 out of 4?
See all of us, I guess.
All? So clap for yourself. Now you are good listeners again. Please clap for yourself. Okay. So when listening takes place, whatever happens in front of us, we pay attention, and then whatever we want to write, we write, or whatever we want to learn, we learn in the same notion. Okay? Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay. Now, is there anything you would like to share about listening to me? Any experience of your class? Any experience?
Yeah, we have awesome experience. Got to know types of listening, maybe appreciative listening. And
Sorry to cut you down here. I would like to know your classroom experience.
in my class.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, if I listen students' queries carefully, then I am able to answer properly, basically. That
Okay.
I have experienced. And if I really only hear the problems, then I may could not answer the way it is, or the way they want to actually expect it from my side. So
Okay.
listening is very important. Yeah.
Okay, so like that means that you have various, examples in your classroom. So let us hear from somebody else as well. Any experience of listening that you thought was the best one in your class? Anyone who would like to share something about it? Okay, give the mic at the back. I would like to listen from them. Yeah.
Actually, right now I don't remember any incident.
But then there might be some experience where you thought, okay, that person listened to me well, or that the student was a good listener, or anything of the same sort.
Hey, most of the time it happens in the class that whenever you are delivering a lecture,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes you get annoyed when the students are not paying attention to you.
Okay.
Nowadays they are busy with their mobile phone, with the social network inside.
Okay.
So sometimes I used to ask the question again to them that whether they are listening to me carefully or not. Most of
Okay.
the time it happens in the class that they are busy with their mobile phones or electronic gadget but not paying attention to the teachers what they are teaching them.
Yes, and that happens in most of our classes, right? When they're not paying attention, then we want them to listen. So for that, the first criteria, that the first thing that we need to understand, that if we are good listeners, we want the other person to listen well. So what could be the right amount of thing is that to attract them towards different notions or to use technology so that they pay attention more and more to the classroom lecture rather than just delivering it as a basic lecture, right? Okay.
Right.
Okay, anybody else who would like to share? The lady over there who's sitting in front. Ma'am, would you like to share something?
Ma'am, when we listen to the students or their queries, sometimes we come to know different aspects of the topic. Different aspects in the sense solutions we can solve it in a different way.
Okay.
That's it, ma'am. Right now I am not able to recognize.
Okay. Okay. At the back, who's sitting, who's sitting alone on the second last bench? Please give the mic. I can see all of you here.
Hello. Yeah, what this?
Yes, yes, yes. Please. Yes, yes. Okay.
Ma'am, while teaching to the students pretend like they are good listener.
Okay.
But whenever I ask question, they don't reply anything.
Okay, so that means they're following that trend, faking attention. They are faking attention at that point of time, right?
They pretend they're good listener.
Okay, they're not
But
a good.
whenever I ask the question, they don't reply.
Okay, they don't reply. Okay, that's with everybody. Okay, at the end, the one that's sitting behind you, I would like to ask him as well. Please, sir, would you like to say something here? Yeah. Yes, yes, yes.
I don't think so. He doesn't want to respond.
Okay, anyone else who would like
Somebody else
to?
wants to respond.
Okay, okay, very good.
I have one experience to share with the class.
Okay.
Sometimes students are, they are hesitant about speaking,
Okay.
raising a query, and maybe somebody raised some query in the class, and the teacher appreciate that query. I mean, if teachers do some sort of appreciative listening in that time,
Right.
that means a lot to the students, and that create very, the topic will be very much interesting after that, because we listen their queries with some appreciation, and they come out more to speak a lot about this topic. So that creates a very good atmosphere in the class. Sometimes it happens in my class. I have seen.
Okay. And do you agree that whenever once we've listened to someone patiently or we have listened to some person appreciatingly, that person is the regular person in our classes. That's the regular face in our class. Do you agree?
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
And then you become his or her favorite teacher. Is it so?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. So we have somebody in the audience.
If I can add something, we can pull on students if they are not listening. Like once it happened to, like, rather it happens very regularly. When somebody is not listening and fiddling with their mobile, I just say that no. It seems like so the entire others would be listening, and I just tell the students who are there that probably he's got a message from his girlfriend, so he's busy with that. So the entire class starts laughing, and he doesn't know what the joke is about.
Yes, that's what.
And find out.
Yeah, see, now the trend is such that, the people are changing their ideas, their notions are changing towards everyone in society. So if we bring such humor, if we bring such technology in our classes, we will have good listeners automatically who are there and who will be regular in our classes. Do you agree?
Right. Right.
Oh, okay, we have somebody in the audience. Let's ask her also. What's her experience? Yes.
Using, like you said, keep using rumors, and if we give example related to daily life, they connect to students
Yes.
regularly rather than reading a chapter and all.
Okay, yeah, or you can involve the people that are fond of, they are fond of movies, they are fond of dialogues. You can involve that in your classes.
Typical dialogues or movies which are recent.
Okay.
So because students are used to watch every new release movie, so we have to give them example of then they more connected rather than the subject or topic.
Okay. Okay, so do you agree to this? She's saying that if we relate it to the latest movie dialogues or to the latest releases, then the students would connect to it automatically. So they'll become good listeners gradually. Do you agree to that?
Yeah, it is absolutely.
Okay. So this was all. Anyone who would like to share something else?
I guess that's. Anybody else? No, I guess that's all.
Okay, so that was all related to listening. It was indeed a very good experience of connecting with such good brains and then being a part of such a program. But I don't leave the session without my motivational video that I would like to show here. So I would like you to pay attention to one very important video that's part of most of us, and that if we see it in a motivational way will motivate us all together. So let's have a quick 2 minutes video before we leave the session, right? Okay?
Sure.
Okay. Please pay attention, I'm playing the video. Okay, thank you all for being such a big support for your cooperation and patience. It was indeed a pleasurable session with such a good audience and with such a patient audience. I'll ask ma'am to please end the session for me. Thank you so much.
So thank you very much, Monica and Konika, and I'm very sure as I have enjoyed this session, all the participants at GP Pant Engineering College and the participants here in the EDB studio have enjoyed the session. One thing which was really admirable, I couldn't make you to participate in the sessions, but the way she got the responses, waiting for your responses at every 1 minute she would pose a question, right? Yes or no? Do you agree? Yes or no? And she made all of you to participate in the various activities and allowed you to make it more interactive. I'm very sure the way she has tried to generate interaction and the way By examples, she wanted to arouse the motivational level and enable you to relate what she was talking to your day-to-day life and the work life, what happens in the classroom. So she has used number of examples from varied contexts to make this session very relevant and meaningful, and also ensure that she has certain hands-on experience for you, and she had brought 2 exercises and motivational video. So thank you very much for joining us, and we look forward to your interaction in future courses too. So thank you everyone for participating, and we break for lunch now and reassemble at 2 o'clock for the next session on writing skills. Is it okay? Okay, thank you. चलो जी, बहुत अच्छी जी.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks.
रिपोर्ट आओ जी. अच्छा, थोड़ी पेन ड्राइव कर दिया ना.
क्या हाल है?
ਇਹਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਹੁਣ? ਕੀ ਖੁੱਲਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ? ਠਹਿਰੋ. ਓਕੇ, ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਇੱਥੇ ਕੁਝ ਖੁੱਲਿਆ. ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਨਹੀਂ. Currently in use? There is no currently in use. परमजीत, ਇਹਨੂੰ ਇੰਜੀ ਖਿੱਚਦਾ. ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਕੁਝ ਕਹੀ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਕਰੰਟਲੀ ਇਨ ਯੂਜ਼. ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ. ਵੀਡੀਓ ਤਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ? ਹਾਂ, ਵੀਡੀਓ ਖੁੱਲੀ ਹੋਣੀ. ਦੇਖੋ, ਵੀਡੀਓ ਕਿਤੇ ਖੁੱਲੀ ਹੋਣੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ. ਨਹੀਂ, ਵੀਡੀਓ ਵੀ ਬੰਦ ਹੈ. ਬੰਦ ਹੈ? ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਮੈਂ ਬੰਦ ਕਰ ਦੋ ਫਿਰ.